real quick, did you see Nosferatu over the holidays?
I did see Nosferatu.
What did you think? I knew you would. What did you think?
Okay. I love that we're doing Nosferatu, but so I am not a high art film guy. I can appreciate my high art films, but in my mind, they nailed the monster. Nosferatu was awesome. They nailed everything about him. They nailed the character design. They nailed the sound design. They nailed the general just vibes of the monster. But like, I felt like there was a lot to be desired, particularly in how they just like left a lot of things hanging in the third act, and it was kind of anticlimactic, and I did not like that part. So overall, good experience. I would, if you are going to see it, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, see it in theaters. It'll be a better experience. I actually imagine I wouldn't have enjoyed it if I wasn't in a theater with the sound system, with the big screen. Like, that definitely added to the experience in a way I think was kind of necessary to thoroughly enjoying the film.
What were you dissatisfied with in the third act? Without spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, so to not spoil it, I just felt like the third act was not. It didn't end in a bang. Well, it did end in a bang. But it was very like not much actually happened. There wasn't much scary. That like so much was set up. Like, for example, the two little girls. It was literally like intended to be comedic whenever those girls came up, because you knew they're gonna get killed by Nosferatu. Like they're these two little girls. They're these little cherub, like, oh please sir, may I have some more porridge? Yeah. English accents, and you just know they're gonna die. And the way they die, it's incredibly well shot. It's a great like image, but it's like you could have leaked out that tension and actually had me feel something, and it kind of just gets tossed away. And I feel like the first part of it, where he's in the castle with Nosferatu, is excellent. You have these like, is it a dream? Is it not a dream? What's real? What's not real? And by the end, it's all just kind of chiseled away, and you have this. It just isn't as scary or as tension filled as the beginning of the movie. That's most of them. I'm trying not to spoil things.
Well, all right. So huge ass just for a Rose spoiler. I didn't know people would die. And you know what? That's pretty funny. And also, this is a 100-year-old story. What are we worried about spoiling here? I mean, this is like, if you don't know either how Dracula or Nosferatu goes, they're essentially the same story. I don't think we're ruining anything for you. It's kind of your fault. I thought Dracula was a union organizer. I don't get that joke.
I'm really upset I don't get the joke.
I feel like it's good. I feel like it's good. I don't know. But all right, so the children, yes, the children were like, although I wasn't thinking about that. Honestly, when they came on screen, I was like, oh, look at these adorable little girls. They're really cute.
They come on screen and they're like, oh, right. Mommy, don't make us go. There's a monster under the bed. Like, you're telling me you didn't pick up that they were going to die?
I didn't think about that. I did think the girls were like, they dialed up the cuteness too much. I do remember thinking that, but I don't remember thinking, oh, it's curtains for these two. I don't remember thinking that. But you mentioned the British accents, whatever. You notice who didn't really have a British accent? Willem Dafoe. Didn't even try. He was Willem Dafoe the entire time. And look, when you're Willem Dafoe, I guess you can do that, but that was pretty fun. It reminded me of Django. I don't really like Django Unchained, the Quentin Tarantino film. Not like anyone knows the one before that. I don't know, but like there was a Django before that one, but no one's ever heard of it.
So I don't like dudes named Django.
Yeah. And no, but one of my main complaints about Django is that Jamie Foxx is supposed to be playing like a slave in the 1840s. And he sounds like Jamie Foxx. He doesn't do anything. It's just like, oh, this is a dude born in Chicago 50 years ago. That's who this was. This wasn't a slave born in Louisiana in 1830 or something. I didn't know what was up with that. Like, why he didn't even bother with that. And go ahead.
So I want to comment on the accents, because this is also something that I picked up on immediately. And the thing with Eggers is he does a very good job of presenting historical fiction in a very accurate way. Like, he tries really hard. And the thing that I just could not understand, you have Nosferatu with this incredibly specific regional dialect. You have other characters that have they're in Germany. And yet you have your main characters having a British fucking accent. Like, I hate how every historical thing set in Europe is British accent. And you know what? If you're going to have it consistently throughout, okay, I can live with it for entertainment purposes. But if you're going to have some characters with a regionally specific accent and some characters with an English accent, that doesn't make any fucking sense, TJ. That did upset me. Not that it really detracted from my experience of the movie. It was just upsetting.
Yeah, I can see that. British accents, though, they're so versatile when you're trying to convey old-timey shit. Like you hear it and you assume it's just old, or either old or fancy. One of the two. And so I don't know. And I think he may have questioned Americans' tolerance for listening to an hour and a half of German accents. I just no, that'd be grating on the ears. I wouldn't want to go through that. So Nosferatu, though, well, you mentioned how the monster was great. Yes, Nosferatu was very well presented. Like the difference between Nosferatu and Dracula, for those of you wondering. Well, I mean, they're the same character. It was like a. Well, John probably knows this better than I do. But back in the 20s, whenever Nosferatu was made, they tried to make like a bootleg version of Dracula. They got sued and they lost, and so it's a wonder we have this movie around today. But his voice was really great, and I think they did a great job presenting just how fucking horny Nosferatu was for this chick. I mean, he just, of the entire movie, they were just laying it on thick that he wants to get busy. That's his entire focus. His mustache was interesting. I didn't see that coming, but I thought that was cool that Nosferatu had a mustache. And their representation of vampires, and I know Nosferatu is not supposed to look at the classic suave vampire that we're familiar with. Is a more monstrous version, which I think is a better version of vampire. It makes it more interesting. But I wasn't prepared for seeing Nosferatu's body after he died. And, like he skipped leg day at the gym, clearly. Nosferatu, that was a weird thing. Very important question, John. The other guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy's friend who's like watching his wife.
Yeah, the rich guy.
The rich guy.
Yeah.
Was he fucking the corpse in that movie?
Yes, he was fucking.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I was like, okay, they looks like he's fucking the corpse. They don't say
he
it.
was fucking the corpse. Yes,
but
he was.
It's like, bro, what the fuck? I don't know. That was the most disturbing part of the movie for me because they don't linger on it. It's kind of in the background, but it's not hard to miss or not easy. And so I'm like, wow, why would they? I didn't need that. I didn't need that. The movie was already enough weird elements. The when he met Nosferatu at the castle and the natives, like the people that were living in Transylvania, that scene where they were talking about the legends and stuff and scaring the shit out of him. I think that was the best part of the movie too, because it was like a weird dream world, not dream world. You didn't know what was going on, and you were kind of like the character. You're like, wow, what's happening here? I thought they did a great job with that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you agree with me on that because as much as people can enjoy different things, I do really think that was the best part of the film. And to belabor my point a little bit more, there's the scene. I'm not spoiling anything here, but it starts with the blonde woman, turns over to the staircase, turns back to her, and there's a jump scare. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember thinking, shit, just that shot of the staircase is so well done. It's so scary. You can picture someone slowly stepping down those stairs and building tension, and then they just never come back to it. And I remember being specifically disappointed. I'm like, that was a Chekhov's gun that you just didn't fire, and I don't understand why. I'm getting way into my film bag here, so forgive me, political nerds. But like something I love in a film is called iceberg, and any fiction is iceberg principle. Hemingway coined the term where you have the tip of the iceberg isn't most of the iceberg. So it's like what you show during the work. There's so much more underneath in the subtext. And this is a subtext heavy film. And I think that entire storyline that you're talking about with the friend and the corpse, like they kind of hint at that. And you have lines of dialogue throughout the film that speaks towards their relationship. And that is the climax of that. But it's mostly hidden underneath the surface. And I'm okay with that. I enjoy that sort of thing when the surface level plot is also interesting. But I feel like in this movie, all of the most interesting stuff is hidden below the surface in the subtext. Like you said with the horniness. Like the sexuality of that film cannot be understated. It's a very sexual film.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of the monster being a incarnation of her guilt and desire, and it being an incarnation of human hunger for lust, that's so interesting. I love that. it actually makes up like 3% of the film's runtime. You know, and I just wish it would spend a little bit more time on that. I have to watch it again to really like have a full opinion, but that's why I don't think it's a great movie, because you have to watch it twice to really fucking understand it. Then, you know, it can still be great, but why I said The Dark Knight's the best movie ever. It's great on the first watch. You watch on the second time, you continue to discover more of that underneath stuff, and it just keeps going every time you watch it. It's fucking fantastic no matter which time it is. Nosferatu probably ain't the same way.
All right. Mark says, I'll have to reach out to Nikki Glazer for my jokes. Now, I did hear a few Nikki Glazer's jokes at the Golden Globes, I think. Those were pretty good. She made a really good one about Alec Baldwin, and it was something about, there was a movie called Ghost or something, and she mentioned how Alec Baldwin is busy making ghosts. Very funny, very funny. And
I had a thread about her jokes today. Apparently, I like copy pasted some of them. Apparently, it wasn't the ones that actually made the set. She like tweeted them out later or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all of the jokes were like dark and edgy, and I was like, this is an example of dark, edgy comedy that won't get you canceled because you are punching up instead of down, and also punching inward at the same time. Like, that is how you can do dark, edgy shit. I will never fucking forgive anyone who goes, oh, well, you just can't joke about anything anymore. Fuck you. Yes, you can. Always Sunny's still on air. Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. That's the perfect example. Always Sunny always goes for dark humor, and no one or very few people can't try to cancel It's Always Sunny. It's a well-beloved show. Just stop being lazy. I just, like, the one thing about comedians, like, or people who are funny in general, is they are usually very intelligent. Like, I've met plenty of smart people who weren't funny, but it's hard to meet a funny person who isn't smart. Like, it really is, because you have to think about how like the language works and make observations that other people already know, but they haven't verbalized. Like, comedy is very intricate. And so, like, to see comedians say, oh, I can't say what I want to anymore, and titling their specials like Triggered or, you know, Uncancelable.
It's sad. It's so I used to look up to.
Right.
People whose past art I very much respect. And it's just like, come on, bro. What happened to you?
You can do better, right? And Mark says we need to review what a spoiler is. Once again, Mark, I retracted the spoiler warning. This movie, this story is over 100 years old. If you don't know the story of Nosferatu by now, I'm sorry. It should have been. It was spoiled for me, so it's gonna be spoiled for you. Why do I care?
I did not sleep through that film in film history class just for you to say that I'm spoiling it.
Are you familiar? Well, you're pretty familiar with Dracula, apparently, Mark. So if you know Dracula, you know the story. Okay, there it is. There's like 3 differences, and none of them really matter. Although the major difference between Nosferatu and Dracula is that Nosferatu can be killed by sunlight, and Dracula could not. And that was the origin of vampires actually dying from the sunlight, was Nosferatu. So that's a major difference. And
Mark's throwing shade at Always Sunny, and Mark, I've never seen anything to quit more tempting to give you the banhammer than Philadelphia. That's America's greatest cultural expert.
It's been on like 16 seasons. Plenty of people watch that show. Was there any light flickering? Okay, that is a reference to SpongeBob SquarePants. If you guys remember, I remember watching that episode of the hash-slinging slasher, and it ends with Nosferatu. And I made a video about this actually a couple weeks ago. That I remember watching that thinking, okay, what was up with that? Why? I mean, I know who Nosferatu is, and it's not funny. It's just like it was random out of nowhere. I can't imagine like a child, like a 10-year-old watching that, who has no fucking idea who Nosferatu is, how confused they must be. I don't know. I still hate that joke because it doesn't make any sense. I had a lot of people trying to explain.
You know what, TJ? I remember it. Every single one of us remembers it. Every single child knows Nosferatu because of SpongeBob, or former child.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't get the purpose behind the joke, like when it originally aired. Because
me neither.
Yeah, dumb. It's so dumb. People kept saying, oh, well, the joke is there's something scary, and they weren't scared of him. I was like, okay, I got that, but why specifically Nosferatu? It could have been anything scary, and they picked a 100-year-old monster that most kids couldn't even pronounce, let alone understand. So I don't know. It's very odd.